All right, this is my pool. When I was opening it, I got my promo Glorybound Initiate, which I was excited about, and then I pulled another one later, so that was a thing. And I was excited about that, and then as I'm opening like all my black and all my green, I'm realizing how much there's a lot of -1/-1 counters, so he's in danger all the time because it's only when he's exerted when he attacks, so he doesn't have to be exerted.
Yep. But he's only going to be 1 toughness by the end of the turn.
Yep.
So after even when he exerts to be a 4/4, he's going to go back to being 1 toughness.
Yep.
So he can be vulnerable during the opponent's turn for sure.
That's upsetting, but that doesn't steer me away from my white because my white's pretty darn strong. I have 2 of these Takrop Elites, which are when you exert it, you anthem, which is great, and then I have a lot of when you exert it, you get bonus +1/+1, which is going to help be more on the aggressive side.
Yep.
Which is a danger in this format because there's a lot of 1 toughness things. So I also have one of the demon that also Elliot got, which I'm excited for. The cycle, give everything -1/-1 on their side. So that could help with all the getting through everything. My blue wasn't fantastic. Andy Kirby thought it was going to be great because he saw 3 flyers, and that was about all I had for blue. I'm not a big fan of counter spells in limited, so that doesn't help. And these other creatures, they want to be more value, but it's just more expensive than it's worth.
Yeah.
A card.
I do like Essence Scatter. I think in this format, I think it's fine. Like just being able to have a hard counter for their bomb creature at all times, I think is a strong effect, and it's kind of like the blue kill spell.
That's true.
Use your counter spell,
and so, it's only for 2. It's 1 blue.
It's cheap enough that even early game you're going to be able to tag their creature because people are playing mostly creatures.
Yeah. Between if I have Essence Scare and a Negate in my hand, I'm covered. Right. Just too bad Negate's not in the set.
Maybe Cancel. I haven't seen the new Cancel, but it's out there somewhere. But yeah, it looks like your blue is kind of where mine was. Like it's got some interesting cards.
Yeah, like this Open into Wonder is really cool. Where it's like you pay X and that's how many creatures are unblocked. And then when a creature hits, I think it's just when a creature hits.
Like each of them gain the ability. So if you have 4 creatures, you can make all of them unblockable.
Whenever this creature deals,
And then you could just draw that many cards. So it could be a great finisher.
But it's also a good early game, in my opinion, because you're just like, I'm behind.
You need to draw a couple cards.
I need to draw some cards. Let me pop 2 into this.
So maybe blue is a better supplement color, but it looked like from both of our pools that blue just wasn't a good core color.
No, not at all.
It wasn't something to build a deck around, but there's some good supplemental cards and support cards.
Yeah, and I separate my pool into 2 colors. Like white was just good, but I like to just what I don't think is overly powerful, or it's not strictly unplayable, but it's just like Painful Lesson.
The cards you're gonna play versus the cards that you're likely not gonna play.
If I'm playing that color, I'm playing those cards. Painful Lesson in the right deck, which might be this one, which would be good. But like Supernatural Stamina. It's okay, +2/+0, and then if a flicker effect, but I don't have many ETB effects. The only ones I have are the where is this guy? Miasmic Mummy, where he comes in and everyone discards a card.
Yeah, which that's not something that we really want to
do all the time.
Use,
unless I have Archfiend, then I'm just like kill your board, discard all the cards, but. I like black a lot just because that's how I like playing, and there's a lot of -1/-1 counter stuff in it.
Yep.
Like Grim Strider, I think works perfectly for my white strategy because I'm emptying my hand to be aggressive.
Yep.
And then Strider gets bigger, less cards I have in my hand. So it's just kind of like,
I think it's a good solid card. It's often going to be like a 5/5 for 4 mana and potentially even bigger. So just a good card.
I had a lot of good I feel like I had a lot of good uncommons in black. And moving over to red, I like red a lot, but it's it's like mono aggressive. There's the top of the curve is this Manticore, which is great, but everything else is 2-drop or less except Pursue Glory. Yeah, those are 4.
And that's a decent 4-drop because it just is like it's a trumpet blast effect, so it gives all our attackers. So it's a good finisher. It's like an overrun. It's even instant speed, so we can surprise them.
Yeah.
with some extra damage that we can push through.
Exactly.
And, of course, I'm going to keep bringing this up, but it has cycling.
Yeah.
So the card has got to be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got no downside.
If you have no creatures to Anthem, well, pitch.
Yep, the card has no downside. You can always turn it into a new one.
But my problem with overly aggressive decks is just it's like when an engine just when I don't have anything.
Yep.
It's just done.
And it'll be interesting with all the embalm creatures being able to return, to keep blocking. So yeah, I'd be worried about getting bogged down in the horde of mummy creatures that are going to be coming back every turn.
Exactly. And I do have a Harsh Mentor, which I think I want to splash for, just because it's an interesting card. It's not overtly powerful, but if they have an activated ability, they're getting punished for it. So it's like almost a lightning rod for removal. 2/2 for 2.
Yeah, at worst,
it's fine.
It's a grizzly bear, and you usually can't go wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. And then my green was interesting. It wasn't. It was a lot of -1/-1 counter stuff, but I don't have synergy with it. I only have ways to put it on things. I don't have any ways to take advantage of it. So like a lot of cards, like there was the Stinger guy. Once he dies, all those -1/-1 counters go onto a different creature, potentially killing it. But a lot of my green stuff, it's like, oh, put -1 on your creatures. Yep, that's it. Like I don't have really any way to undo such a thing. And they had some really powerful cards, like there's the Great Maw, which is great. A couple of Nagas, which is like the Mana Dorks, which potentially is great, but I think I'm going 3 colors. Like just thinking about it, I think I'm going 3 colors because my red is too interesting not to play.
Okay.
And that's how I feel. And I also have this Merciless Javelineer.
Yep, it seems like a really strong card.
Yeah, discarding cards. I have cards with Embalm, a lot of them, so I can just poop, bring them back, or use the effect, especially with the Archfiend. That's just Wombo, Mambo, Combo, Mambo, Giuliano. And then my other ones, like the Trampler, he's really cool. 3/3 for 3. Other creatures have Trample. Like, that's just so good, aggressive card.
Yep.
And the Shadowstorm's... We were discussing this earlier, Elliot, and it's just like, this card seems in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there is a blue-black aggressive deck that wants a card like this. Maybe it's good as a defensive card. You can leave it untapped, you can block, and then you can use your cycling to like eat an attacking creature. And so maybe it is a defensive card.
Yeah, it's like the blue-black Storm Chaser kind of mage thing with discard.
It reminds me of that a little bit.
But it doesn't have haste and prowess. It just has
Maybe now I'm looking at it again, maybe it is more of a defensive card where you want to use your cycling defensively to use this as a blocker and then be able to surprise pump it to make it bigger. Because being a 1/3 for 2 mana is already like an okay rate. It flies, so that's obviously really good, and then it just gets bigger for cycling. So maybe there's like a blue-black cycling matters like control deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a limited format where this could find a place.
I think with my rares, I'm gonna hit those because I got 50-50 on those. Like the Demon, great. The Harvest Season, not so great. Glorybound Initiate, cool aggressive creature.
Yep.
Shadows of the Grave is kind of a thing. Like, I almost think my deck could do it, but it's only till end of turn. Like, if it was like...
You have to set up a big turn where you know that you're going to pitch a lot of cards and get some value out. Because if you're just using it to get back 1 card or even 2 cards, it might not be worth the card in your deck.
No, absolutely not.
Especially if you have it in your hand and you can't play it, then it's not doing anything for you. It really has to be. It's a 1/2 combo. Like you have to have the setup for it to work, and usually those cards you'll find are not going to be worth it in sealed or draft. Those type of effects.
Like if it's like my 10th draft and I get it, I'm like, all right, YOLO swag, cool. Like this would be not a bad place to try it because I have the Archfiend, which is very good with it, so it kind of forces the issue. Also Minotaur kind of forces the issue, but I'm not sure. So we'll see. I'm going to build this deck, and then we'll come back and show you what we've come up with. Hey guys, this is Taylor's deck tech for the Marduina deck. My red splashes are Merciless Javelineer and Battlefield Scavenger. It's kind of two different themes of the deck, cycling with the Javelineer and the Scavenger with Exert. Got a lot of great Exert creatures, a lot of great value. You got these two guys that become 3/3 flyers. I got these two guys that come 4/4 lifelink. I got a first striker. I got a lot of great Exert creatures. The Top Crop Elite just anthems my board, which is fantastic. And then you go to the other side, the cycling kind of things. You got this Wandering Death that I use because some of my bigger creatures, my bombs, they're not in Balm. They're not re-gettable, I guess. Or if I'm not having that problem at all, just cycle it and get more value with my top end, which is fantastic. My 2-drops are doing some great work, but they're kind of vulnerable. They're aggressive decks. My worry on the deck is it's going to peter out. If I don't get close to winning in this section, I feel like it's like I'm lost. Even this section is great.
Yep.
I had some okay late game, but if I'm not pressuring turn 2, turn 3, my deck is not doing what it wants to do at all.
Yep. Yeah, we're really relying on these cheap Exert creatures to really hammer in damage early. But the downside is we have to give up a turn of attacking in order to get that little extra punch through.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately doesn't look like you have any of sort of the untapped synergies, because there's some of that present in the set, and you can use these Exert creatures and then you can untap them to get extra effect out of them.
Yeah.
So that might be a downside, is that you've got some really good Exert core creatures here.
Exactly, and that's why I kept a couple of these cards, like Supply Caravan. That makes, if you have a tapped creature, it comes in with a 1/1 vigilance.
Yep.
This unwavering intention is vigilant. This flying is vigilant. So I wanted to make sure I had some vigilant creatures that it's not going to matter. I get my value out of the other guys, but then I still have the vigilance, kind of either defend or just value-wise, like exert that. And I have 2 vigilance creatures. They're not tapping. Choo-choo!
Yep.
Comedy Crane out of control, guys.
Yep. I think the deck looks good. I think you have one really amazing rare. Just like in my deck, I think this card is fantastic. It's just a big flyer. It's a cycle early. And if you have more cycling, it just gets better and better. And I think you have a really good splash card in the Javelineer. It can help enable some of your other cycling synergy. It can kill creatures. It's a good aggressive body for 4 mana. So I think that's a great splash.
Yeah.
And then while they're not like super flashy or as, like out there, like a god or anything, these little initiate guys are just going to put in a lot of work, and they're just going to kind of be the core of your deck is just some really small, aggressive Exert creatures that are going to get through with their damage.
Absolutely, and I wanted to make sure that show you the cuts. This one, it's a 2-sided discard. I have one because if I have the Deep Fiend, or not Deep Fiend, Arch Deep Fiend, tap all things. Okay, I wish. So I didn't need that, and I was already heavy on 2-drops, and I just had better 2-drops.
Yep.
Festering Mummy, if I'm drawing this late, it sucks. It just like, I need something to say. That's not saving me. Seraph of the Suns, I really wanted to play it, but as we said, my deck's a little more aggressive.
It might just be too expensive.
And if I'm in that point in the game and not almost winning, my deck didn't do its job.
Yep.
My plan is to try to kill early. If I don't kill early, kill their things so I can kill more. Like it's just too expensive for late game. And then the Harsh Mentor, I really wanted to play him, but in Limited, I don't know how useful he's going to be. This might be one of those cards where it's just like, you know what, I don't know. And then I get the pre-release, I'm like, why was I so dumb? Of course I'm playing this card.
Yep. I mean, we'll see. From the looks of it, just looking over the creatures, it doesn't look like there are a ton of effects that are going to trigger the Mentor. Keep in mind, it doesn't work when your opponent cycles
or embalms in that
or
thing.
embalms.
Or does it?
No,
No.
it shouldn't. We can cut that though if we're
Yeah.
wrong on that. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that.
Keep it in.
So, and it also doesn't deal a damage on a triggered ability. So like exerting a creature, or like for instance the demon's effect.
Yep.
Whenever you cycle, those are triggered abilities. Those are not activated abilities. So the mentor does not punish those. So, maybe there are some that he might want this against specifically, and he can bring it in against those. But I think on average, it's mostly just going to be a 2-mana 2/2.
Yeah, like I'm looking at my deck itself, and the only thing it triggers on, I think, is just the Javelineer. And that's 1 out of 23 cards. And that's insane. And I have these 2 filter lands, which I'm not a fan of, but I really want these 2 red cards.
Yep.
Like, they're just so needed for my deck. I just got to do it.
Yep. I mean, the Shimmering Grotto or the... What's the new one called? Sometimes it's Unknown Shores. It was just in... it was in Modern Masters. It's in the current Modern Masters.
Yeah, Shimmering Grotto,
it's like... They're mediocre lands.
But they're like a necessary
evil.
But
sometimes we have to play them. Especially in this format, there aren't any common dual lands. We don't have gates or our meandering rivers, any of our enters tapped dual lands.
Our dual lands are rare.
Yep. So we have 2 options. We have Evolving Wilds, and then we have Painted Bluffs. Those are 2 common ones. So if we're playing a 2-color deck and maybe splashing for a card or 2, that's what we got to do. So,
and I feel good splashing because this is a colorless activated ability. This ability helps my exert creatures. Like it rummages, which turns on that, or stuff I can return, or they were just necessary to make my deck better. But I can't wait to play this on pre-release. Do I wish I opened a guide card? Yes. Am I disappointed? Not really, because this is what pre-release is about. It's about exploring the new cards, and I'm excited to do so. And I hope you're excited to do so. We hope to see you soon, and see you at FNM.